So welcome everybody. Very happy to see each and every one of you who's here. Also people who are new to the house. Please feel free to join the house and join us on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at around 8:30 p.m. IST, which is 11 a.m. Eastern time on the other side of the world. What we do here on the weekdays is we're continuing our class with the Taittareeya that Bindaji will lead for about an hour. And then during that time, Q&A and chat and hand raising is off. But then we turn it on and we open it up to people who have questions about what happened in the class today and or earlier in the Taittareeya. Join us Sunday for a more general Advaita discussion that will be open for people to come up and discuss Advaita with Bindaji, and replays available here and also on a YouTube channel called Advaita Retold. So we're at really the last couple weeks and today, the very end of the second chapter, which really has the potential to entirely change our experience of this life that is being lived. So thank you so much, Prakash, for supporting here, and thank you so much, Bindaji, for taking the time to consider and prepare a class that has such potential for all of us.
Thank you, Atmisha. Thank you, Prakash. Welcome all, and wishes on the birthday of Shankaracharya today being celebrated in India, Shankara Jayanti. Supposed to be the 2352nd birthday. I don't know. I mean, it's contested. So the master who said that there is no birth, no death, we are all Atma, and celebrating his birthday, I don't know. I don't have that, but I have all reverence, and he is my master too. With that, let me start the invocations for today. Om Namo Brahma Dibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lova Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashi Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibeda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Gurubhyo Namaha. The Shanti Mantram for the second chapter. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Last 2-3 classes we have been really dealing with the most important aspect of Advaita, what I would call as the pinnacle of the knowledge of Advaita, where we were taken by Adi Shankara through his commentary to that which we all were not clear about. We all of us, no exception, all of us had this feeling that there is an experience like any other subject-object experience. Atma Anubhava, or the knowledge of Atma, will lead us to an experience of Atma or Brahma-jnana, Brahma Anubhava. Shankaracharya has broken that myth and told that that is not going to happen, because that knowledge which is about Atman and Brahman is in the mind. And in the mind, when it is the knowledge is coming, what is immediate and known is the knowledge itself, not the object of the knowledge. Unlike other things where there is knowledge and the object of knowledge, in this particular case, the object of knowledge is beyond the mind. Tasmat satyam jnanam anandam brahma iti yatokta lakshanam atma pratyarthameva. Therefore, the word which we started with this second chapter, Satya Jnanam Anandam Brahma, as the definition of Brahma, is a lakshana of Atma Pratyaya, of Atma. Therefore, the next section is being used by the Upanishad as to why it is not possible to have the experience or anubhava of Atma or Brahman. I will read the mantras and then incidentally Atmishi asked about talking about the mantras in the last episode, which I could not do it because I didn't want to break the flow of that. So after having read this mantras of the 9th section, I will explain the meaning of mantra. The section 9 is merging of good and evil in Brahman. There is good and evil in the transactional world. How do they relate to Brahman, or how they are seen from a point of view, one who has understood the Brahman or Atman as what? That is what the 9th section is going to be. But before starting that, there is two sentences in Sanskrit which are very important, which is often quoted by many scholars, Atmajnanis, and those who have realized. That two sentences are going to be mostly using up my time today for explanation. Before we go to the subsequent mantras. So the mantras are like this. Yato vAcho nivartanthe aprApya manasA sahaH. Anandam brahmano vidwan na bibedi kutaschaneti. Edaham hava vanapata tapati. Kimaham sadhuna karavam. Kimaham papam akaravam iti. Sa evam vidwanete atman sprunute. Ubehya vaishayede atman sprunute. Ya evam veda iti Upanishad iti Navama Anuvaka. Mantras are defined as mananat trayate. Mananat, by doing manana. Trayate means protects or elevates us. That is the technical meaning of mantra. The sentences, what is applied in the Vedas, they are all called mantras. Whether it is for the Karma Kanda, Brahmana, or the Jnana Kanda of Upanishad, all of them are called mantras. Because mantra basically is for the purpose of elevating the one who chants there by applying the mind to the meaning of the mantra. When the meaning of the mantras shines in the mind, it gives the required effect to the one who is chanting it. Shastra says that even listening to the mantras, even if you are not able to know the meaning, but able to do the listening of it, is 50% of the job done. So there are people who are just chanting the mantras without even knowing the meaning of it. Because the reason is that there is a certain modulations of sound in the way in which the mantras are chanted. The modulations are basically reverberations of sound which impacts the ear and the mind of the listener. And these being very positive and pure in nature from the point of view of adhyatmic or related to the oneself. These mantras are unlike the other shlokas, what is called in the Bhagavad Gita, it's a shloka, whereas in the Puranas, it's all shlokas. Only in the Vedas, they are called mantras. So, manana trayate, but one who having listened it many a times will be able to chant it by heart and also able to what you call perform the act of yaga or archana, etc. But in the case of Upanishadic mantras, there is no action to be done. Therefore, here the manana, the meaning of the mantra, along with the reverberation it has created in the mind to quieten the mind, there is a double effect for these mantras. And this double effect of the mantras are the mental activity of churning the meaning of the mantras as explained by the guru or the commentary or the teacher will be better received because of the chanting, which is the pre-requirement heard for mind to be quietened. Because you are mentally getting yourself prepared to listen something about your own nature. It doesn't happen with the other poems or shlokas or things like that. Nowhere we are prepared to listen about ourselves. But here, since it is going to be talking about our true nature and our own nature in which we have to find out our true nature, this quietening of the mind by the chanting becomes a prerequisite for the mind, and such a mind is really effective in analyzing the meaning, and this in turn helps in the nididhyasana. So this being the basic nature of mantras, mantras are to be chanted in a particular manner, which Prasad is able to do it very well. I have not been trained in the chanting, even though I have studied it in the proper way by chanting and all, but I can do it only continuous from the beginning till the end, but not section by section. Even though I can make out how to do it. For example, Yato vAcho nivartanthe aprApya manasA sahaH anandam brahmano vidwan na bibeti kutaschaneti edagam hava pachanapati kimahagum satu nakaravam kimaham papam akaravamiti sayevam vedvanete atmana srunute ubehya vayete atma srunute ya evam veda ityupanishat sahanavavatu sahanau bhunaktu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is how the chanting goes. So here we are not getting into the chanting aspect, but the mantra and how it is get effective is what I basically wanted to explain. Now to start with today's topic, Yato vAcho nivartanthe aprApya manasA sahaH. Now the word, each word is yataha, means from where. Vachaha means words. Nivartanthe means returns. Aprapya, having not able to reach. Manasa, by mind. Saha means along with. This is the Yacho vAcho nivartanthe aprapya manasA sahaH. Now the word aprapya is a prior verb which indicates that there is a second verb. So aprapya nivartanthe, not being able to reach, it returns. So this is the way in which it is. So manasa saha aprapya vachaha nivartanthe is the literal sentence, if I had to say that. That means yataha, from where or from which, unable to reach along with the mind, words return or return back. Oh, it looks like a very simple sentence, but the meaning which is conveyed by the Upanishad, because this mantra has come once again also, earlier also. That time Shankaracharya did not comment on the meaning. He kept it for here because it is coming again in the second time. So he says that yataha means yasmat, from which, means what is that from which? Nirvikalpat yatokta lakshanad advaya anandat atmanaha. So yataha means atmanaha, from atma. What type of atma? Nirvikalpat. It is nirvikalpa, means without any vikalpa. No, what you call, formations, or no, what you call, disturbance, or nothing, anything which is disturbing it. Yatokta lakshanat means as described earlier. What is that? Satyajnanam anandam brahma iti lakshana vakya. That is what it is referred here. Yata ukta lakshanat. Advaya anandad. Advaya means non-dual. Anandad means bliss or happiness, or that which is the nature of Brahman. That means Satyat, Jnanam, Anandam, Anandam. All the four are here included by the word Advaya. Atmanaha. Vachaha abhidhanani dravyadi savikalpa vastu vishayani vastu samanya annirvikalpe advaye api brahmani prayoktribihi prakashanaya prayujyamanani aprapya aprakashaiva nivartante swasamartyam abhidhiyante. That is, he is referring to, from is referred now as Atma. Now he is making the sentence Vachaha manasa saha nivartante aprapya. Vachaha means abhidhanani, means nomenclature. Dravyadi savikalpa vastu vishayani. Dravyadi, all the matter. Adi means starting with matter. Savikalpa means which has got formation. Nirvikalpa is Atma. Opposite of that is Savikalpa. Is where the multiplicity is there. Vastu Vishayani. Vastu means object. So that means Atma has become the subject and Vastu as the what is being brought under the nomenclature of names and forms. Vastu Vishayani. Vastu Samanya Annirvikalpe. So for all the Vastu, there is a common Annirvikalpe, without Nirvikalpa. In the Vastu, there is Vikalpa. But the Vastu Samanya Nirvikalpe, one's to Anyat Nirvikalpe. It is not Annirvikalpa. Vastu Samanyat Nirvikalpe. Vastu Samanyam is Nirvikalpam. Vastu Samanyam means the one in which all these objects are present or being supported. That is Nirvikalpa. Like the ocean being, let us assume that ocean is Nirvikalpa and the forms, the waves, the bubbles, the whirlpool, etc. are Vastu Vishayas. So there is multiplicity in the Vastu. Vastu means objects. But Samanya, Vastu Samanya, Samanya Nirvikalpe, in the Nirvikalpa, there is Samanya, commonality is there. There is only one thing is there. What is that? Advaye. It is non-dual. Advaye api. Even though it is Advaya, it is non-dual. Brahmani means in the Brahman. Prayoktribhihi. Prakashanaya. Prayujyamanani. For them to be visible or to be distinguished, prayotrabhihi, by those who are using it, the world of objects, prayujyamanani, for the purpose of transaction. This is what is called the word. So the word is being now defined as nomenclature for the world of objects. Also, the world of objects are depending upon a common substratum, which is Brahman, is non-dual, for the purpose of knowing them by the users, prayujyamanani, for the purpose of or utility. Aprapya, aprakashaiva, aprakasha, aprakashya eva, nivartanthe swasamartya samartyat hiyante. So what happens is that, so aprapya, without mind, without able to illumine that substratum, both the word and the mind having lost their capability. Swasamartya dhiyante means having lost the samartya or the capability. The mind loses its capability, or mind is no more a mind. The word, because there is no multiplicity, so there cannot be a word for non-dual, like how it can be used for the multiplicity. That is what is referred to as aprApya. Mana idi pratyayo vijnanam. Here the word mana is the name for vijnanam, or the knowledge in the mind, not the mind as a mind stuff. Tadcha yatra abhidanam pravrittam atindriye apindriye api arte tadarte cha pravartate prakashanaya. Tadcha, that mind, yatra abhidanam pravrittam, where the nomenclatures operated, including atindriye api, surgam is atindriyam, where the mind cannot go, but the word could operate there, because the word surgam is a nomenclature, and it is not possible for the sense organs or the mind to grasp it. But the words are able to operate there. So, manasA sahaH, with the mind it is returning, is not even atindriya area. It is there also, it is operatable. Tadarte cha pravartate prakashanaya. Even there, those places, for example, Surgadi, the Papa, Punya, all those things are nomenclatures. But mind cannot access them, no sense organs can access them. But they have nomenclatures. So therefore, yatra cha vijnanam tatra cha vat pravritti. Wherever this knowledge through the mind is there, definitely all that which is there in the operation in the mind, including Atman and Brahman, is vAcho pravritti, is by words. The mind cannot operate, or the knowledge in the mind cannot operate without a name or a nomenclature in it. Tasmat saha eva vangmanasayo abhidana pratyayoho pravritti sarvatra. Everywhere except for Atman or Brahman, in the real Atman or Brahman, not as the knowledge of Atman and Brahman. In the last two classes, I have differentiated between knowledge of Atman and Brahman and the object Atman and Brahman. But at the knowledge level, which is in the mind, there also the word Atman or Brahman is operational, because the mind can know it only when there is a name and nomenclature available. So today, we have now been given a situation, Yato vAcho nivartanthe aprApya manasA sahaH. Now let us analyze this. Having completed the commentary part of Shankaracharya, let us look into what is that the Upanishad wants us to understand. In the previous classes, we knew that we have been told about the knowledge or the jnani of the where he is or what is his operational capability. He is also knowing it in the mind or through the mind, Atman or Brahman. But when his Ajnana Samshaya Viparya, that is the doubt, the ignorance, doubt, and the wrong misconception has been removed, he has no doubt about what is Atman or Brahman. He knows it as his own nature. Yet, it is not an object for his mind. The reason is that even though the word Atman or Brahman is a definition or a nomenclature for that which is called Atman or Brahman, it is not able to enlighten the object. In all other cases, a name or a word definitely enlightens or enriches us with the experience what the word stands for. Therefore, when the Upanishad says that words along with the mind returns unable to enlighten the object called Atman or Brahman, we have to understand it in a totally different way, which very clearly says that all that we can imagine or we can think of the potency of knowing has to be set aside. That is not the way in which the Atma or Brahman is being explained by the Upanishads. In the last class, I said that for a book which is there on the table, when there is not enough light, I only see it as an object. So I know it, but I don't know the details of it. But as the light comes, I can distinguish it now as a book. Therefore, my doubt, what is that object as a white object which I saw, is now clear to me as a book. So my doubt and my chances of misrepresenting that white object is now eliminated. This is how the mind works when it is being given by the object availability for the mind to eradicate the doubt and the misapprehension of the object. But there is not possibility for, there is no such possibility when it comes to Atman or Brahman. We have no way in which how to make it understandable. The Upanishad is only able to say that it is not possible for the words or the mind to fathom that or to conceptualize Atman or Brahman. Why? If it is an object, which is the fundamental object or the fundamental reality from which everything has come, and we are supposed to understand it by the Upanishadic words, but the Upanishad itself says that it is not possible for the mind to do. The reason is not given. Just it makes a statement that it is that from which the mind and the words return, unable to objectify it. What does it mean? It is not objectifiable to the mind and the words. The reason is that it is in the light of that the mind is able to function. We can see the shadow under a lamp by bringing another lamp, and that shadow can be eradicated. But the lamp which is shining all alone by itself, the shadow beneath it is not possible for that lamp to eradicate. Is it that way? The Upanishad doesn't give an answer. But the teachers who taught says it is not like that. Because in the case of a lamp, the light, the wick which gives out that lamp and the body of the lamp are two. But here, there are no two. Advaye Brahmani. There is a non-dual Brahman. So there can never be a shadow. Suprakashe kuto avidya. How can there be ignorance or darkness in the prakasha? Then what does this means? We can only explain this from our own experience. We are all aware of an experience or a state or a condition where we are free from words and the mind. The only place where we are free from the words and the mind is the state of what we call it as deep sleep. In the deep sleep, no words are functioning, nor there is the mind. So, and there is Advaya there. There is non-dual experience of all alone being there. So, is it referring to that? So, the Upanishad has to be understood in the proper thing. This Upanishad started with Tasmat etasmat atmana akasha samputa akashad vayu vayoragnihi. All those creations have been mentioned in the beginning, which means from Atma, all the creations have come. What is the creation from the deep sleep? The creation from the deep sleep is our own individuality and the world of experiences of waking and dream. And there is definitely the space in which the waking and the dream are operating. And both waking and dream, we know that the dependency on the word and the mind are so predominant that we can never think of a experience or anything in the waking or dream where there is no spot where the mind is not operating. We may say that in the waking, when I am doing meditation, my mind is quiet. I am not able to experience anything in the mind. But the underlying thought that I am meditating is in the mind, but not as a mental function. That is why the meditation which is mentioned in the waking and the meditation defined by Advaitins are different. Samadhi is the word used by the yogic method or the meditation, whereas Advaitin use the word samahitaha. There is difference between the two. The state of a jnani after having attained that knowledge of Atman or Brahman is what is called samahita. He is in a perpetual state which cannot be called a samadhi, but where his mind is no more the mind of his previous state of waking and dream. In that state of his mind, he is established in that knowledge, and that is the time when the definitions which we have been talking in the earlier classes, Yato vAcho nivartanthe aprApya manasA sahaH, that becomes a reality when I say yatra na anyat pasyati anyat shrunoti anyat vijanati, where there is nothing heard other than itself, nothing thought about anything other than it, nothing known anything other than that. So there is this hearing, thinking, etc., but there is no duality. And when there is no duality, the words are not functional in that advaya. And when the words are not functioning, the mind is also no mind. That is why it is called samahita. Sama means equal. Settled in the state of equality or equanimous state. It is not a meditation. So the question will come, doesn't it mean, or does it mean that a jnani doesn't have the experience of the world? Doesn't he transact in the world? If yato vAcho nivartanthe aprApya manasA sahaH is what that state is, or he understands that as his true nature, how is he able to function in the world of transaction? He transacts in the world not as he. He transacts in the world as what he knows as himself. There is a difference between we seeing him and he experiencing himself. When he is operating, he sees the world of operations, he sees the multiplicity, but he knows that they are all nothing but appearances of the same Atman or Brahman. It is the Swabhava or the nature of consciousness or Atma or Brahman to appear as names and forms. By appearing as names and forms, it is not becoming what it is. For example, the water, when it appears as the waves and the froth and the bubbles, it is not unbecoming of water. This aspect, or the gold becomes no gold when it becomes ornament, or the mud becomes no mud when it becomes pots and toys and etc. Same way, the jnani sees the world as Atman or Brahman only. When he sees them as Atman or Brahman, he is not seeing anything other than himself. There is no himself or Atman or Brahman. He is not hearing anything other than Atman or Brahman. He is not thinking anything Atman or Brahman. There is no, but to the person who is looking at him will feel that he is transacting in the world. He knows the names and forms and the appearances are nothing but Atman or Brahman only. It is just like He is seeing the mirage water, but knows that there is no water. Whereas the other person who is seeing the water, and this person is now telling that there is no water, what you see the like the water is not water, but it is an appearance. But for the other man, he doesn't know what is that appearance, but he sees himself that as a real water. Same case with the rope and the snake, or the mud and the pot. You can take any of these examples. The one who sees the reality, he knows the reality behind it, yet even though he is seeing the pot or the ornaments or the waves, etc., the reality of behind them is known to him. Now, to make it a better example for us, we know there is no day and night. This was the example used in the last class. We know there is no reality, really there is no day and night. But we transact with day and night as a reality. Our body rhythms, our sleep, our eating and waking and going to work, everything is depending upon day and night. In spite of the fact we know that in reality there is no day and night, it is the rotation of the earth which appears to make the day and night. If you are outside the earth perimeter or earth in the atmosphere, there is no day or night. They can see the earth rotating, and for them there is no day or night. So day and night is only because when you are in the surface of the earth. This is a known fact to all of us from our school days or college days when we studied everything. We know it. Yet, it doesn't stop us from transacting with day and night as a reality. Same is the case with a Brahmatjnani. He knows the reality in spite of the fact he transacts in the world, but he is not transacting like the man who doesn't know the reality. He knows the reality and yet he is transacting. Why I'm coming to this is because based on this is the balance of the mantras of this 9th section, where there is further statements which we will see it in the coming classes. 2 more classes we will need to close this, or maybe 1 more class. This aspect of how a jnani operates and how a ajnani operates are very much to be understood. Does that mean that jnani doesn't have a hunger and thirst, etc.? Or doesn't he get, the differentiation between a person who is coming to attack him or a person who is coming to garland him? He has all these differences. And his reactions will be based on what it is. Does it mean that he is reacting as he is an individual? No. He sees all of them are the habits or the nature in which the body functions, and the body is not him. For him, he is not the body anymore. The body, along with the world, is nothing but Atman appearing as names and forms. He sees them as appearances in the consciousness or awareness. From the deep sleep, the waking came up. His body and his waking, everything is based on the waking up experience. He knows that his experiences of the dream is from the same Atman or Brahman, where he doesn't have the waker body or waking world, but a dreamer body and the dreamer world. But he knows all of them are nothing but appearances of the same Atman or Brahman, which is pure consciousness or awareness in nature. Satyajnanam Anandam Anandam Brahma. So he is established in that. This establishment can take place only when we do not have Ajnana Samshaya Viparya, the ignorance, doubt or misapprehension. The knowledge, what it does is eradicate these three, the ignorance, doubt and misapprehension. That misapprehension is the misapprehension of the body. The first and foremost misapprehension comes up is that I am the ego, the individual ego or the individuality. So what happens is that we get fear. Fear is only an example which is being used all our experiences. All that comes from that which affects the ego. The fear is that the ego will be destroyed. Atmanasha. Bhagavad Gita says that, there is no birth, no death, na jayate, mriyate va kadachit, na hanti, na hanyate, hanyamane. All those words are used to describe the nature of Brahman. But as long as this knowledge doesn't become established or convinced in us and we identify ourselves as Atman or Brahman, the viparya or the misapprehension that we are the individual and the world is separate from me, idaram andaram kurute. That is the reason why all the subsequent activities, which we call it as eating, sleeping, drinking, fear, happiness, sorrow, papa, punya, all of them are from the basic misapprehension that we are the body separate from the world. A jnani who has established in the knowledge, yatra nanyat pasyati anyat shrunoti anyat vijanati, he doesn't see anything other than his nature, this nature of Atman or Brahman. There is no ego in him. There is no individuality in him. Even though the body may appear to be functioning like he has got hunger, thirst, and experiences of heat and cold, etc., he doesn't identify it as his because the ego is not there. He sees them as a nature of awareness to project it as the body, project it as the world, and the reaction between the world and the body is a nature of consciousness or awareness which is taking place. He doesn't identify with them. For him, he is seeing them all as the same consciousness appearing as the individual. The same consciousness there in the fear, in the happiness, in the food, in the objects, in everything is in consciousness. And there is nothing outside consciousness for him. So such a person, he is in a state where words are not operating and nor does he have a mind of his own. That amani bhava, that has the state of no mind, is the samahita state or the state where it becomes no mind, not through meditation, but through knowledge. This is what is called that nature of Atman or Brahman, where words are not operable, nor can mind ever reach that. This is to be understood properly only then. I'm repeating that. Only when you know this and that as our nature, Each one of us are not individuals. We are individuals because of our misapprehension with the ego and the individuality. When we overcome that misapprehension with the knowledge from the Upanishad and the master and the vAcho, etc., we have to get convinced about that is it. This conviction can come only when your mind becomes no mind. Otherwise, aprApya manasA sahaH means unable to reach the conviction. The mind will continue to revel in the duality. And as long as this duality, which is a product of ajnana samshaya viparya, continues, we will never be able to know our true nature nor get freed from the experiences of fear, etc. Because the otherness is always there. If this can be understood and look our day-to-day experience of where we do not have duality, realize that as our true nature, and our experiences of the waking and dream are nothing but the expression of that state. The individuality is a wrong entity by the association with the mind. The individuality remains only in the mind. That is why the mind is not able to reach that state, because we are clinging on to the individuality or the ego. The moment we leave the clinging of that will not happen, because that is the very establishment under which I am surviving or I am operating. So how will I kill myself? Atmahanaha. I am killing myself. I am not killing the Atma, but what I think as Atma, as the self. The self is the ego self. So I have to transcend beyond my ego self to land in my true self. To land in the true self, we need to transcend the ego self. The ego self is left when we are in the state when we do not have the duality, and this is happening because that is the nature of Atma. We are not going into deep sleep. Please understand that. None of us are going to sleep. The Atma is withdrawing the waker and the dreamer from projecting. When that projection is stopped, whether your individuality may be the president of the whole world, doesn't matter. The whole king of the whole world or the monarch of the whole world, doesn't matter. In the deep sleep, there is no difference between him and a baby who is newborn or a beggar who is lying on the platform or a bus stand. All of them abandon their individuality, whatever they are holding, and they are in the Atma or Brahman. And that is when the projections are withdrawn by Atma. It is that is the one which is withdrawing and projecting. We cannot forcefully go to sleep or go to wake up. Both are under the mercy of the Atman. So when Atman decides to project, we come to waking, and then we think we are big, we are great. I am this thing. My guru snubbed me, or guru scolded me, or my co-worker scolded me, or my spouse left me, or all those sorts and everything that my. This small ego attachment is what is the last thread on which we are holding on. Even when we are, when we are drowning, we are thinking we have to survive to make that ego remain in operation. This is where we are all not able to understand and go beyond. I'll continue this in the next class. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadidamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavada.
Thank you so much, Bindaji. I think that today's class is really an opportunity for all of us to reflect on the reality and the accuracy of our ideas about what it is we're going after on this path, so to speak, as long as we think we're going after something. And everyone who has a sincere question on today's class, or the couple classes just prior that are very much related to this topic of what it would mean to actually attain the liberation that we're seeking, please do come up. We all benefit from hearing how we're thinking and sharing our experiences. So I also wanted to thank you, Bindaji, for mentioning mantras. I think it helps a lot of us to begin to understand some of the context that sets the way, the whys for the way that you're teaching. Is very helpful. And so anyone please raise your hand or use the chat. Those should be open now.
Namaste, Venkat.
Hari Om, Binduji. Hari Om, everyone. Binduji, this is worth deep contemplation. This class, this I think I just try to build on certain foundation. Then we get to the details you spoke about. That vak and manas, are they separate? Is vak prior to manas? Is there any difference here?
The words are nomenclatures, whereas the experiences based on the words, whether it is information or whether it is a physical, mental, emotional, memory, or any sort of experience out of the words. Why we make the difference is that anything which the mind imagines or mind thinks or mind operates, without words it cannot. But words can be heard and spoken independent of the mind when by the person who is listening may not have heard the word, or he may not have idea in his mind what the word is standing for. But when he listens the word for the first time, what is he listening is the word before it becomes a knowledge or an information in his mind. It can be a common knowledge, like a common thing, but he may not have the specifics of it until he asks further questions or inquires about it himself. So the words and the mind put together is the totality of all our experiences.
I think that's nice, Binduji, because it is followed up etra vignanam tatra vAcho pravritti. That vAcho pravritti is spoken about. Prior to that, can you explain this? Tacha yatra bidhanam pravuttam atindriye pyarthe tadarthe cha pravartate prakashnaya. I didn't get this whole thing. If you can help.
Yeah.
explain this again.
It is basically, even the mind cannot reach, but the words can explain it. For example, the word heaven. The word heaven is a nomenclature, but the mind has no idea what it is. So, what the word is doing, that even the Atindriya Vishayas, means supernatural things or out of ordinary things also, words can access, or there is range for the words to operate, but not the mind to operate. For the mind to operate without the words, it cannot. It is explaining that aspect of it.
Got it, Baduji. That means, words are kept a notch above the mind, and
Right.
word induces the pravritti in the mind.
Yes.
This is clear, Baduji. And that what is lighting that up is that, the Brahmani, that Prakashanaya, that which lightens it up. All of this will be lighted up with the Brahmani. Now, coming to this, the ego attribution you spoke about. So, the moment someone says even at the core level, you exist, you are conscious, the attribution goes into the ego, because that is subtly going there without examination. I'm conscious, I exist, and I'm conscious, because that subtly that ego attribution arises, and then further onwards, that ego continue to stay in the background like a shadow, but one never realizes this. I'm just sharing my experience. On top of it, that attribution, in a way, is creating a me and you separation, deeply ingrained, unless it is examined and removed. Now, the words of the Guru, pinpointing the attribution itself, nullifying it, is what it is happening. Again, the words of the Guru, the power of the words that will invert this. How does that effect take place? Because you talked about mantra quite a bit. The mantra that is inducing that silence to contemplate, and the mantra enabling the examination. How does this, as a method or technology, this look like a technology that will help both ways, inducing silence and help contemplate. What is the speciality about the mantra itself?
The mantra, not only this mantra, the mantras in general, when listened in the way in which it is being chanted, and if you know the meaning to be contemplated along with it, is the best aspect of the mantra and the contemplation. But how does it function is that the mantra, when it is with the reverberations of the modulations of the sound, when it is heard through the ears and reaches the mind, the tendency for the mind to wander about in other subjects are eradicated by, sticking to the modulations of the sound, which brings down a level of tranquility and equanimity in the mind, where the mind becomes receptive enough to contemplate on the meaning. First time when it is listening, can receive it. Then second onwards, when he is listening to the mantra chanting, he, having heard the meaning, is now doing the manana on that. What happens in the continuous process is that the frequent repetition of the mental meaning being repeated in the mind, what happens is that he is allowing his mind no more control him, in the sense that the mind becomes less powerful, and the meaning of the mantra is the one which becomes stronger for the individual to become convinced about the meaning conveyed in the mantras. That is why when Tattvamasi, etc., when the first time itself when you hear it, it makes a effect if the mind is in a receptive mode. For others, it may not make anything. If the teacher is talking and the student can be half asleep, then nothing happens. Or if the language is not understood properly, it's two different languages, he doesn't know that language, either English or Sanskrit. So for him, it will not make any impact. So these are all what is called the hurdles or the problems in the listening. But if he is receptive enough and able to listen to that, the meaning makes a immediate effect in all transactions in our life. For example, when we graduated or when we passed out our college, the announcement of the result, when we heard that we have cleared our papers and we have passed out, it has made an impact in us. Or when we became a parent, it make an impact that nothing physically happening except in the case of parent, that lady may go through a physical change, but in the case of a father, he doesn't undergo any physical change, but then that knowledge that he has become a father brings in a change in his mind and his being. This is in the transactional mundane world. So what you can imagine when you are being told that state from which you, without knowing which you entered, where you were not there, and you became one with the truth, that is the one which is now again coming back with the multiplicity of waking and dream. And the moment you go to the waking, you become the waker. You go to the dream, you become the dreamer. It is the same entity which is going and which is becoming back. So that when it is being told, initially we will not be able to appreciate it. We think that sleep is a state of the waker from the waker's point of view. It is the story of the waker which tells about it. But as and when we do the analysis ourselves, if I am the consciousness or the awareness, pure nature, it is the nature of the awareness or consciousness to project. Like any light can project, it is the one which is projecting the multiplicity. That is its nature. But it is not different. It is not different throwing out different things. It is that the same light becoming Vibgyor in a rainbow. Same way, the same thing becomes a waker, the waking world, the experiences. In the waker, it becomes the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya koshas. And in the world, from the gas, liquid, etc., etc. All those things are nothing but consciousness, awareness itself. If you remove the consciousness of awareness from them, there is nothing. They do not exist. The existence and consciousness are one and the same. The existence is consciousness. Consciousness shows there is existence of Asti Bhadi. These are the two words which is used in Sanskrit. They exist. If there is anything is existing, it is in consciousness. That existence is in consciousness. Or if consciousness is there, it has to be showing as its own existence. So these two are the way in which that is what we call it as projections of into waker and the dream. So all those things will become clearer and clearer as the mantra takes the mind to a very receptive mode by frequent mantra listening and the manana happening. You will reach a state of nididhyasana where you are convinced that you are neither the waker nor the dreamer, because they keep changing. All I can't call it as myself as deep sleeper, because that is the story of the waker. I am that consciousness from which my waking world and myself came. I am that consciousness from where my dream world and the dream came. When both the waking and dream is not there, I am all by myself. There is no I there. The I which I am referring to is for Atma.
Sure, Binduji. Now, with your support on this particular Yato vAcho nivartanthe aprApya manasA sahaH, that vacham, that means I have to be a space to be receptive to the words you're speaking. That means the reception happens when I expand my own listening to like a space. Then the words in that space is associated with the Shabda Brahma. That fully reaches, reverberates, and that gives that's the closest one can get to in the listening mode. Hence further, the vAcha creates that the inner space which is more receptive. Hence further, you don't invoke your mind right here, because the mind might attribute, it will go into some other imagination. Rather, it reaches directly. What is prior to this space is, that what even the words come from there. Reverberate between the Guru and Shishya. Once that reverberation stops, then the space and what is prior to space. That's the most I can describe, because beyond which invoke everything else, then the mind process kicks in and spoils it. This is the most I can get to, Binduji, with the description you are giving. The mantra is vibrating in that space. Beyond which, before which there is nothing, before space, the Atman.
Yes. Thank you, Venkat.
Thank you, Binduji.
So we still have a little bit of time. If someone has something on their mind that they'd like to bring up, that would be wonderful. If not, we can close and resume in a general question and answer on Sunday. Yes, Binduji, what were you going to say?
No, this is Prakash or Prasad, anything if they want to talk.
Nothing, Binduji. I'm good in today's class. Yeah.
Namaste, Revati.
Namaste, Binduji. Binduji, my question is, manas is always the pratyaya. Is it not?
Yes, Vijnana Pratyaya.
Then why again he is especially like mana iti pratyaya? Again he is like Upanishad is again expressing here mana iti pratyaya.
Yeah. See, the thing is that Vak is Abhidhana whereas mana is aprApya. To make the difference between the vak and the mind, that is the difference to show that. Only for that purpose it is being mentioned that way.
Yes. And the here manasa vijnanena sarva prakashana samarthena nivartanthe. He's Upanishad is telling manaha. It's having the sarva prakash. I didn't understand.
See, everything is known where? In the mind, no?
Yes, the mind.
Yeah, that is why sarva prakashanaya. That is where the mind comes in.
Prakasham means here to know. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Revati.
Binduji, thank you very, very much for the class today. Before I go ahead and make the usual closing announcements, though, I wonder if there is anything else that you'd like to say at this point, or shall I go ahead and do the closeout?
I think Prakash wanted to say something.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Sorry.
That's okay. Yes, Binduji, you used a particular word, conviction, in the narrative of defining this particular, manana exercise. So the conviction that you're talking about, because earlier you contextualized in terms of fear, doubt, and ignorance, or removing conceptual errors. So post that, here conviction refers to, what is that, Binduji?
If you hear conviction refers to identification with our true self.
Okay. Thank you.
No more identified with the ego or the mind.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, that's the final message always. Thank you so much for the way you said that, Binduji. So everybody, thank you so much for being here, especially Binduji for really just privilege doesn't touch it. The privilege that you're affording all of us to be here with you. We'll have a general Q&A on Advaita on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. IST, which is 11 a.m. Eastern time for those of you on the other side of the world. And a reminder that all of the recent classes in the last year or so in this house are on replay here. But the classes and in the progress of becoming the Sunday and other Q&As also will come onto YouTube at Advaita Retold. And I know myself, I've been listening back to some of the classes from a year or more, several years back, like the Katha Upanishad seems to really relate a lot to what's happening here, so as they all do. Anyway, inviting you all to really find benefit in those older replays. What else? Nothing comes to mind, so we're hoping to see you on Sunday. Thank you to everyone who is coming and benefiting, because otherwise we wouldn't even have classes. So thank you, Binduji.
Thank you, Atmisha, Prakash, Prasad, Venkat, and Revati. We'll continue with our last section of the second chapter in the next week. And Sunday we'll have the new normal Q&A or the open house discussion. See you all on Sunday and continue the Upanishad on next week. Hari Om. Good night. Namaste.
Good night, Binduji.
Hari Om.